All right, let's go. All right. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us to our Meet the Vendor webinar series. Today we've got Jose from Idalko, who's going to tell us about Exalate and the amazing technology behind B2B integration. And we're going to talk about that product and how we see the future. So welcome, Jose. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. It's nice to see you and sharing this moment with you.
Great. So where would you like to start? What would you like to show us first or tell us about first?
Yeah, so maybe we can start showing you a past use case of when Exalate was used. What some of the problems of these companies that contact us had were, and how we were able to solve this integration need that it's usually what they need when they reach out to us. If you want, I can share my screen and show you how that looks.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in this case, I'm going to start with another company, which is not Exalate, but Wireless Car. Wireless Car is a company that extracts data from cars and how the car users manipulate the car, like turn on the radio, change songs, and all this data to create packages for all these car brands. So they later, in the next year, with the data that Wireless Car extracts or learns from the users, they after create new packages with those new cars. So that is what Wireless Car does on a day-to-day basis. And they had a problem. They used Jira extensively for the entire tasks. And that's not the problem. That was actually good. But the thing is that they had to connect with many partners that had other issue tracking systems, not only Jira. As we know, there are many of them. And these brands that you see here, I put a logo of issue tracking systems on top of them, but that's not the real case. This is just for this example. But not all of them use Atlassian, right? And each of them have their own reasons why not. So what happened in this case is that Wireless Car wanted to connect to a specific car company that I cannot name for now. And they were, at the moment, they were communicating for this specific project through emails, live chat, and calls. So every time, even though they had both of them had issue tracking systems, they were not able to talk directly. And those tickets had the same structure. So in car company A and Wireless Car, both were working with a ticket that had a title, description, comments, attachments, custom fields. So it basically had the same structure, but they needed to collaborate on a separate side, like emails and calls, to keep track of the work. So it took a lot of time for them to get in sync of the updates. And not so much just because they talked a lot, but because they had, every time there was any update, they needed to either send an email or chat. And this cost them a lot of money. And that's when they reach out to their consultancy providers in Europe, and they reach out to us directly. In this case, we were talking about Jira, and it was a Jira software. This is just for this presentation, but it was a Jira product, and they wanted to connect it to ServiceNow. So the car company was using ServiceNow, which, if you do not know, it's another issue tracking system directed towards IT, and it has its own things, but it has the same structure as I mentioned. It has title, description, comments, and similar structure. Some of the requirements that they had in this specific case were that the integration tool needed to be secure, because these are two companies that are not are separated companies. Each of them has their own tasks, their own data sensitivity that they cannot they needs to be safe and cannot be leaked to the company or in between. So that was the first requirement for this specific integration, and also flexibility. They had different field names, which meant that they needed to sync some of the, let's say, in ticket A in Jira, they had a field that needed to be synced to a ServiceNow field that had a different name. So if it had different names or values, they needed to do the work so that it moved from field A to field B in ServiceNow. And that is when they reach out to us. Those are actually our main differentiators compared to other integration tools, because we have a distributed architecture that allows multiple companies to connect without having a centralized UI. By the way, Michael, if you have any questions until now, feel free to stop me at any point, because the idea is that if questions come up, these are answered here.
Yeah, no, it's so interesting, the example that you've just used there. And perhaps if I could share my screen for a moment. I'm just looking at a McKinsey article, and it was around overcoming barriers to multi-tier supplier collaboration. They focused on the automotive sector, which is interesting just because that's a use case you're going through. And they say end-to-end supplier integration could create between 37 and 65 billion euro in value just in the automotive sector. And, you know, some of those examples that you gave then about, you know, being able to connect with the supplier and be able to share information. And I thought it's really interesting when you look at this graph, you know, that most of the value is going to come out of supply chain integration. So can you, at all the steps in your cycle, can you collaborate closely and securely and quickly with your partners? And yeah, so it's just such an interesting opportunity, I think, going forward. And it's a really good example what you've just shown us there.
Yeah, and one of the main concerns when these companies want to connect is, how do we ensure that company A is still autonomous from company B when it comes to data? That's we have a lot of demos that go really well. The companies that talk to us like the product, but then we have to talk a lot with security teams.
Yes.
And that is when it gets longer, when the security teams are very strict. After they see that our tool connects through HTTPS and it doesn't open up your firewall, and that we have a security architecture white paper that details everything, only after that is when they allow it. But the distributed architecture that is very unique from Exalate is what allows the multiple companies to integrate. And this distributed architecture, what basically is, I don't know if you have checked it, but what it is that you have scripts in, let's say, Jira A and ServiceNow. So when you want to send data from Jira to ServiceNow, whatever goes out of this Jira is controlled in this end. And whatever comes out of the ServiceNow is controlled in ServiceNow. So the Jira admin or everyone that has a high permission level in Jira cannot access ServiceNow without them allowing the data to go out. And the same the other way around.
Yeah, and I think that's really, it's about, for security, being clear about what information is essentially leaving the building and under what conditions, and making sure that you maintain a high level of control over that at all times. And I think and it's also interesting when we're talking about aligning fields, it's also about aligning processes. And I think that's something that we see when we're doing these type of integrations, is it really allows the teams on both sides of the equation to harmonize their process. And and again, that just builds out efficiency, builds out quality, it reduces cycle times, all those type of things. And yeah, by having the conversation about what data is going to and what processes are we going to integrate, provides that opportunity for improvement, which is great.
Yeah, you're just making it more agile. So I think the problem now is that there are so many good tools, or let's say each of them has its own strategy for companies. Let's say there's now ClickUp, Monday, a bunch of new tools coming out, and not all companies have the same products. And even though they have the same structure of agile and we want to make things continuous work, when the two tools are separate, it's like we'll still have to go to emails to keep the work. And that is when the integration tools like Exalate or some others that are out there come to make it more agile while you keep the tools that you like for the reasons you want.
So I think it's an interesting question around digital maturity as an organization. How well do you have your own tool sets organized? How well do you have your own processes organized? Because then if you're also going to integrate with a partner, you would hope that they've got a reasonably high level of digital maturity as well. So what's your thoughts on where the industry is at and readiness to do these type of integrations? Because obviously we've got clients who are doing these integrations, but still, to me, it's a small fraction. And yeah, when I read articles like that McKinsey article, it's just like, there's so much opportunity, because it's not just swapping information. We've discussed connecting research and development teams together. So it's that product development, shortening the cycle from where the product's actually being used to the product development teams who are writing code for the next iteration of these things. Having really strong team collaboration. We see the benefits in our own organization, but to be able to have that same collaboration, with external parties. So what else can you tell us, Jose? How easy is it to set up? What do we need to do to get going? Can you tell us some of those type of things?
Yeah, and to your question that from before, that support to development integration is one of the most common ones that we see. So you have your IT team that receives all the support requests, all the your service desk. It could be maybe bugs in your site, or they request a new laptop. It could be internal or external. And then you have your development team that also writes code. That's the most common use case that we have. So they want to connect their development team to their support team internally within their company. And each of them works in different tools. So that's how they connect through an integration like Exalate. If you want, I can show you how a quick demo of how the product works.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and share my screen again. Here, what you see, well, this is the distributed architecture that I was talking about. So Exalate will live in each of the products. So you have Exalate for Jira, which can connect to any of the other products we support, which are GitHub, Zendesk, Azure DevOps, HPALM, ServiceNow, as I was talking. Now we will include CRMs. So Salesforce is coming next month. So it's not only now issue tracking systems, but now CRMs. And then Exalate will also live on the other product. So each of them can connect to any of the products we support. Some of the fields that you can synchronize are title, description, comments, attachments, also custom fields. So there's also another case in which all the work is being done in, let's say, ServiceNow, but all the reports are checked in Jira, because the management works in Jira and it's the most easy to use tool. So we work from there. So what they do is that all the tickets from ServiceNow they send them to Jira, and then all the data is on both ends without you needing to manually copy and paste the data in each of the products. So the reports will be accessible from ServiceNow or from Jira.
It's almost a single source of truth, but it's a synchronized single source of truth.
Yeah, could be one direction or bidirectionally. So if some of the changes that are done in Jira, you want them to reflect in ServiceNow, then that could also be the case. And this is the video I was talking about. I'm gonna scroll a little so that it's not as long as it initially was. But yeah, I'm gonna open this, and what you see here is on the right my ServiceNow demo environment, and on the left my Jira software demo environment. And what I'm basically going to do is create an incident, which is what we would call an issue or a task in Jira, and it will automatically show up in Jira. And then I'll make an update in Jira, and that update will show up in ServiceNow. So this is like live collaboration type of use case.
Sure.
You see that it's not created in this Jira project. So I'll call this incident 1. So what you see here are the incident fields. Just like a Jira ticket, you have the key, the title, which in this case is the short description, and then here's the description. And if you scroll down, you'll have the comment section. But for now, I'm only going to create this ticket. As you see, the urgency is low, so it should not sync to Jira. I'm going to submit it. So the reason why this ticket will not sync to Jira is because I set up a trigger so that only specific incidents are sent from ServiceNow to Jira. I skipped that part, but that is why this incident is not part of the trigger. But the next incident that I create, that's the incident that will be sent to Jira. So if we go fast in this section, you'll see that to make sure that you'll see that the incident doesn't show up in Jira. It doesn't. So that is when I create a new incident, and I create the trigger high, which will basically create the Jira ticket based on the value high in urgency. So if that value is not high, that will not be created in Jira.
Yeah, that's great. So you got all that flexibility with your business rules.
Exactly. It could be triggers, trigger events, and then you could also have updates based on a criteria. So you could have if statements if you want to go complex. So let's say if status is A, then you can update status plus these other fields. That is a little complex, but it's possible with our scripting engine.
Yeah, awesome. And it's interesting how processes mature over time. So it's even if we don't use all of that capability, it's good to have access to it, because as the process matures, the demands only get higher. And so then we've got the ability to be very, very specific.
Yeah, and some of the things that we also see are that, let's say company A is very big, has a lot of statuses because it has a lot of complex workflows. And then they're connecting to a small company, let's say a consultancy company. And this consultancy company only has the statuses to do, in progress, and done.
Yeah.
Most simple ones. With Exalate, you can integrate those 3 values to the 5 or let's say 7 values on the other instance, so that every time the status changes either here or here, there's always a matching status on the other end, and they're always in sync.
Yeah, that's great, because everyone's got slightly different processes, and again, the maturity of them.
Yeah, as you were saying, some are very mature, some are just to do in progress and done. That for me, that's like best scenario. always.
Kanban, we love it.
But then you have to make permissions as the company grows, and you know how it always goes, like new steps.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's interesting the different sizes of the types of organizations that you might end up integrating with, some being very small, some being very large.
Yeah, we see a wide variety of companies. Could be small, like 5 people to 10,000 people, because they're just doing a very small project, big to big, small to big. There's all types of cases there.
Cool. And how easy is it to set up and to get going?
So when people book a demo with us, prospects or people that are in the trial and they want to learn more about the tool, I already have Exalate downloaded in each of the systems, which basically takes you like 10 minutes. And then once you have, or let's say 15 minutes at most, because you need each of the admins to do that, if you're connecting multiple systems. You give it permission to edit and create issues. In some of the tools, you have to create a personal access token that is a permission for Exalate to do changes for a specific time frame. After that's done, you can create a connection in 3 minutes. You just select the project, the initial project that you want to start the synchronization from Jira. And then you copy an invitation code that auto-generates when you're creating this connection. You send it to your ServiceNow or GitHub or Zendesk or other Jira that you want to connect with. And then they accept the invitation, and that's it. It literally takes like 2 minutes. I would like to show you that, but I don't know if we have time. And if not, we can maybe send the link for some of your clients or people that are interested in this to check it out with us.
If you can quickly show us, I think we've got a couple of minutes. And just because while you're doing that, I can talk about a use case or an experience that Design Industries had, and was connecting a IT company with a large organization. And yeah, it was in terms of, as you said, the setup, installing things, getting them connected, and in a sandbox environment for the first time. That was, but then it was the security, it was field mapping, it was process mapping, and there was quite a lot of detail that needed to be covered off. But yeah, then it becomes just as like anything else in the Atlassian world, you're just clicking and configuring and applying the business rules. So yeah, I'd encourage viewers here today to give some thought to who they could potentially integrate with, what partners or suppliers are you working with on a constant basis, with an idea that we can share information in live time between our systems securely, simply by installing some software on both ends and building out some business rules to try and simplify it.
Yeah, we have tons of, we have all verticals. We have, so since most of, I take care of the Americas time zone users and prospects, and there are a lot of software companies that want to interact with other software companies. That's what we usually see, that at least demo the product. People that acquire the product, there's all types of industry. We have a lot of healthcare and governmental agencies. My guess is that healthcare, maybe it's growing a lot now with everything that's happening recently. They need to integrate their services. They cannot see each other. So it makes a lot of sense that a tool like Exalate to integrate their systems.
And the speed of update of information. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need it live, not next week or something.
Come again?
We need the information live, not when we get the report at the end of the day or at the end of the week or whatever. It's already old.
Yeah, for sure.
So
as we were saying, as you meant, you were asking me to create a connection.
Yeah.
This is what you will see in each of the systems. So on the left, I have my Jira server. It's pretty old. I know that it's not the the latest Jira, and apologies for that. And on the right, I have a Zendesk instance. So this is another issue tracking system that it's used sometimes for service desk and IT. And if I want to connect them, I just install Exalate in each of them. You can acquire by download it by going to exalate.com, integrations on top, and then you'll have all the tools we support. So you click in each of them, you download it, give it permission to create and edit tickets. And then once you have that, you will have this UI in each of the systems. If you want to create a connection, it's just as simple as this. You click on initiate connection. You have three options: public, private, or local. Private is for cases where one of the instances is behind a firewall, which happens a lot with Jira. So if one of them was behind a firewall, instead of pushing the updates, it's a polling method. So every 30 seconds, the Jira behind a firewall checks for updates on the other end. This could be longer if you want, maybe once a day. But in this case, I'm going to go for the pushing method because both of my instances are hosted in the cloud. Then you copy the destination URL. You paste it here.
Yeah, too easy. All right. So while that's going,
this checks that there's an Exalate node on the other end. It already did, and that's it. Now I gave this connection a name. I'll call it Jira Server DI. Let's say Design Industries, and Zendesk DI demo connection. I click next. We have the visual mode. It's a very intuitive UI where you just select from a drop-down what you want to synchronize. That is centralized. So if you have multiple companies, people don't usually go for that one. They go for the scripted version. I'll go for the scripted version for now. I will select the project. Afterwards, you can connect more than one project. This is just for the initial configuration. You click initiate.
interesting.
This generates an invitation code. You copy it. You go to the Zendesk end, click accept, paste it here. And there you go. You have a connection already.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. So in the automotive industry alone, $37 to $65 billion, and that's just in one industry sector. So every industry sector will benefit from being able to use these tools and get high quality, faster turnaround, all those type of things with your partners and suppliers. So look, thanks very much, Jose. That's been great. Really, really interesting. And we look forward to doing a lot more of this over the next few years because there's just so much potential. But I guess that's the space we're in. So it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, you're welcome. If you want, we can have another call in a later stage where I have something prepared and we see the special configuration that can be done there so that you see that very small tweaks can be done in the scripts that make it a lot more flexible than what it initially looks. Like, let's say a comment is synced only if the first word is sync. Something as complex as that can be one of the use cases for Exalate.
Well, I'm sure the mind's going to boggle. But yeah, that sounds good. We'll go into a review of some of the nitty gritty of business rules potential, because yeah, that's where the power is. So, but yeah, thanks very much for your time, Jose. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael, for the invitation. And yeah, I hope we keep talking and show you in different integration scenarios and learn from you too, that you looks like you know about the industry.
Cheers. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye. Have a great day.
And we can just